Hey, what is up? Travis Kerr Family Flip Show. So I was down here in the basement doing some listings for eBay, and I figured, well, now would be a good time to get an intro in for this particular video. And so today I'm going to show you some of the things that sold over the course of a weekend. And I was really just thinking as I'm down here listing is that listing is not, going to be honest, is not the most fun piece of the reselling game, but it is a necessary evil, because if you don't list it, then obviously you're never going to sell anything, and it is very rewarding to see the item sell. So I guess the question becomes, is it worth it? And so if you are just getting into this, maybe you're super experienced, maybe you're not, but maybe this will give you an idea of some of the things that we look out for and some of the things that sell pretty quickly for us, and give you some perspective there if you wanted to do this for yourself. If you haven't seen this channel before, we are a family of resellers that source things from many sources, yard sales, flea markets, estate sales, really anywhere that we can buy something low and flip it online for a profit. So I guess while I'm down here, I'll show you a little bit of our setup. As you can see, I just took a picture of these pictures of these snowboard boots and these ski boots, and so we will process those. And normally what I do is I'll take a bunch of pictures and I'll just keep them on my cell phone, and so then when I'm just sitting around, I can actually just do listings whenever I'm anywhere, and then I just add the pictures in whenever I'm doing drafts, and it's just kind of a good way to have your work with you whenever you go somewhere, because if you have a bunch of pictures and you're just sitting around waiting somewhere in line or whatever it may be, you can actually start making that time profitable by just doing your listings while you're there. So pictures are a really good way to start, and then you just keep them on your phone, and then you can kind of toggle back and forth between eBay to do your listings. But anyway, a couple things that we always keep near us, and I'm trying to keep these in the background, is a ring light. We use to keep our pictures as bright as possible, and you'll see that there's a couple lights above us here that also helps light things up, and the lighting down here tonight is really bad, so I do apologize for that. The other thing that we often use quite a bit when we do our listing is magic eraser, because a lot of these items, these are relatively clean, but a lot of items can be really dirty, or they'll have some kind of stubborn stains on them. And it is amazing what magic eraser can do if you haven't used that before to clean things. I normally keep a wet rag near us as well. Obviously, you keep things, get some things that are ready to go, that are already clean. These are some things that I bought last weekend at the yard sale, and everything in there is like almost relatively new or mint condition, so it doesn't need a lot of work. The other thing that's very helpful is a heat gun. You got to be very careful with these, because especially this one's probably a little overkill, but anytime you get stubborn stickers or price tags or anything that's like has this stickiness to it, sometimes it'll heat that up, and it'll help those come off much easier. But again, they can burn you, so you certainly have to be careful there. So, and lastly, I would say that the thing that we keep with us is like a television. I watch YouTube videos, listen to podcasts. We watch a ton of sports, or listen to sports in the background at least while we're doing this. You got to make it fun. You got to just have some kind of outside source of entertainment, which is very important as well. So like I said, listing isn't necessarily the most fun, but it is necessary. And so I want you to check it out and see what we've sold over the course of just a couple, maybe 2 or 3 days of weekend days, and kind of see what that tally looks like, to see if you think it may be worth it for yourselves. Anyway, stay tuned and hope you enjoy. So the first 4 items I'm going to show you for weekend sales is a bit intentional, because these are just 4 of many items that I put in a lot together. And if you saw my last video, the G.I. Joe lot. So again, I paid $40 for this entire lot. This is just 4 of those items that have sold. So this is the G.I. Joe. I think it's called a adder of some sort, for Cobra adder. This sold for, all in, the buyer paid around $23. This little 4-wheeler Tiger Force sold all in for around $41. This is the soda stream that was in that lot. The buyer just paid around $120 all in. And then this, I'm not going to pull it out of the box. It was in my last video. This is the G.I. Joe Command Center that will get packaged up much more nicely than this. The buyer just paid $160 for this. So these are just 4 items of the many from that one lot in my last video that paid $40 for. And we've already sold a ton of other items and still many more to go. But that's just the power of lotting things together at a yard sale. Next up is also an item I think that was shown in my last video. I bought a Ninja coffee cold brew / tea maker. I listed these yesterday. Actually, I paid $10 for the entire unit and I've just parted it out. This is the tea portion that comes with the filter. This just sold for $24. And then this is just the regular coffee filter replacement part. It just sold for $14. Actually going out to the same buyer, but again, listed yesterday, sold yesterday. I just now got to listing that. And that was several weeks ago whenever I did that video. But so what is that? Around $38 already on a $10 purchase, and still tons of items from that unit to go that I haven't even filed away yet. So anytime you see these Ninja coffee pieces, they can be really profitable if you part them out. So the next 3 items I've intentionally put together as well, because this is another lot that I had that I bought a whole bunch of other items for as well. But I put them all together and paid $50 all in for this huge stack of items. And so this is a Monster Power Adapter HTS 2600. So this one I just sold for around $53 if I'm not mistaken. This one's a little bit, I'm not sure this one had ever been used. So it sold for a little bit more. The buyer paid $72 all in. And one of my favorite finds is remotes that have significant value. And so this is a Control 4 branded deal. And I've found several other Control 4 items, one of which is listed at like $400 and some odd that's in our inventory right now from that sale. But again, $50 for a huge stack of items. These are just 3 of those items. This just sold for $49.99. So easy to ship, easy to store. So certainly happy about that. So 3 of these items has definitely well paid for that huge stack of items. And we still have many more to go off of a $50 lot. Again, the power of lotting items at a yard sale. Next going out as a bread and butter item is this Sony VCR. I think I probably paid around $5 to $10 for this. I can't remember for sure, but the buyer just paid around $62 all in for this. So this is in good condition. It's fully tested, and it sold probably within a couple of days of being listed. So super happy about that sale. Next going out are a couple shoe sales. So the first ones are these Brooks Adrenaline 12s. These are size 11, and with size 11 is a good men's size to sell. But what makes these even better is that they're wides, which are a little bit harder to find. So these just sold for $45. And I think I paid like $4.99 or $5.99 for these at a thrift store. And then these are New Balance women's work shoes, size 11. So a bit of a larger size. But these did sell for $40, and I believe I paid $7.49 for these at a bin store. Next one out is this Guitar Hero, or maybe it's Drum Hero, I don't know. But this drum set, anytime you see these, you definitely want to look them up, because a lot of times at thrift stores and other places, these are pretty cheap. We probably paid in the $10 to $20 range for this. And believe it or not, this just sold for $145, or that's what the buyer paid all in. And again, these look like they would be tough to ship, but they actually break down pretty well. So not the easiest thing to ship, but certainly not as difficult as you might think. So we'll get this packaged up and ready to roll. Next going out is this Lux Guardian Eris series, which is made by Electrolux, if I'm not mistaken. This just sold for $74, and this is just the main unit only. Believe it or not, the unit is, generally speaking, the slowest selling and maybe the least profitable of all the items if you get a vacuum set. Most of the time, the hoses and the power nozzles sell really quickly and are more profitable. And some will sell for well over $100. And whereas the unit, not so much. I guess they don't break quite as much or often as the hoses and things. So, but this will be relatively easy to ship, $74, and we'll get this to its new owner. Next going out is this transistor tester. Now I did pay up for this. I paid $50 for this at a yard sale. And the only reason I paid up for this is because I saw the sell-through rate on eBay was really good. I could tell that it was really in demand. This does power on, but I have no idea what I'm doing with any of this. So I've just listed it as parts only. So that way the burden of this working or not is not on me. And it's still sold for, believe it or not, $157, or the buyer paid $157 all in. So we'll get this packaged up and sent to its new home, and hopefully it works for the new owner, because this could have been probably $200, maybe $300 if I marketed this as tested. But it sold really quickly, so super happy with this sell, and hopefully it'll find its way into someone's hands who knows what they're doing with this, and maybe as a bonus it'll actually all work just fine. So next three items up, the first one is this Canon camera. I believe we got this recently at an estate sale. Unfortunately, I tested this and it did not work after I put the batteries in it. So I just listed it as parts only. Probably a $50, $60 camera if this all worked. And I ended up selling this for just $18 all in. So probably about a break-even venture. Probably paid about $5 for this. But at least we will recoup our money off of an item that really didn't work. So maybe the new owner knows what they're doing, and that'll be perfectly fine. This, I can't remember where we bought this. It could have been at a bin store. It could have been at an estate or a yard sale. But this razor replacement just sold for $28 all in. So super easy to ship, super easy to store. And again, back to my point about the vacuum cleaners, this one little piece from an Electrolux just sold for $40. And a lot of times they'll come with quite a few different attachments and accessories that will sell. So just back to my point about how some of these little smaller pieces are much more profitable and easier to store than the main unit itself. One more vacuum cleaner piece that just sold. This is a rainbow replacement hose. Not one of the more profitable or the more expensive rainbow pieces, but this just sold for $27 for this one hose, and it'll be pretty easy to ship because it all coils together. Next going out is this Les Paul. I believe this is for a PS3 for Guitar Hero. And so this just sold for $43. And I don't know exactly how much we paid for this, but generally we've tried to probably stay around $5 for this. So not a bad sell. And then this piece will come off, so it makes it easy to ship. You can put these pieces together, bubble wrap them up, and they go out pretty good. And although this may look the same, this is actually another rainbow replacement hose. This one sold for $22. So as again, these aren't the biggest sellers, but you can see how this starts to add up, because a lot of times you'll have just, when you find these, you'll find like a ton of hoses all together. So again, easy to ship. And so love selling rainbow pieces, Electrolux, Filter Queen, some of the older vacuum cleaners, Eris, anything that has lots of parts and pieces, because they do typically sell well, because they are hard to find. Next up is this exam review book. Camden sells on Amazon lots of used books and does really well with it, but there are some cases where there are things that do better on eBay than they do on Amazon, so he'll just donate those to the cause. I listed this the other day, probably paid like $1 for this if I had to guess, and it just sold for $17 all in, so we'll get this shipped up. Most items, it's the opposite with books. They'll do much better on Amazon than they would on eBay, but there are some that either one, you can't sell on Amazon, or just due to the branding, or they just do better on eBay for whatever reason. So this one sold pretty quick. It'll be easy to ship via media mail. So we'll get this to its new home, and good luck to whoever is about to take this exam. Next going out is this Braun Multi-Mix. I believe Camden bought this, and I can't remember where he may have gotten this. And I think we paid around $10 for this. This just sold for $65, so we'll get this packaged up. It is a pre-owned item, but these do actually pretty well. And it should be relatively easy to ship, as you can see the various utilizations for this mixer. And a really good time of the year to sell something like this for the holiday seasons, when people typically do amp up the cooking a bit. Next two items going out are something that you always want to be on the lookout for, and that's Department 56. These actually came from two independent sources. This one I bought very recently. This is one of the last items, and if you saw any of my videos over the summer, I bought I can't even tell you how many, and I spent like $600-700 at this one estate sale just buying anything that I could get my hands on that was Department 56. I'm guessing I probably paid $3 or $4 for this. This one didn't carry as much demand as some of the others, but it is a good time of the year to sell these. These are generally for Christmas and other holidays, as you'll see in a second. But this one just sold for $41 all in, so we'll get that one shipped out. This one had a ton of interest, and I listed it the other day. I bought like $230 worth of these at Goodwill the other day. I just bought a ton of Easter and Valentine's Day Department 56, which I haven't really found before. Most of what you'll find is for Christmas, but you'll see this Easter egg painting studio. I don't have it pulled out, but I'll maybe try to flash the actual pictures on the screen. But just extremely well done from a detail standpoint. It was fully complete. It's retired, and this just sold all in. The buyer just paid $111 for this. So these Easter and Valentine's Day ones that I found, hopefully more will sell that I'll show you in the coming days. But they just seem to maybe be a little bit more rare than some of the Christmas ones. And we've sold some, like the Charlie, we sold a Charlie Brown one, a couple of those for well over $200. I think there's a Disney series that's that we've sold for like $240, $250 for just for one of these. I think the holy grail of these, though, is the Lampoon's Christmas Vacation ones. They actually did a series of these, and if you look at the comps on eBay for Department 56, the Christmas Vacation ones of these, they are insane. I'll try to flash some of those on the screen just for fun as well. Next two items that are going out are these wireless headphone system by Avantry. And so I believe these are to help someone who may be hearing impaired hear like the television or something like that. Things in this family generally sell pretty well. This is sold for $70 or $69.97. So basically $70. And then this is the more unique sell. This is a floating Grim Reaper, and I just bought this last week at Goodwill for $2.99. And again, this is after Thanksgiving when this is being filmed. And if you ever see this brand, Gimme or Jimmy, they can do really well, and they seem to make a lot of like things in that Halloween family. You can see the original retail of this, $19.99 or $29.99 if you live in Canada. This actually just sold for $50, and we're talking almost a full month after Halloween. So these things can still do really well. The margins can be really good. $2.99 into $50. We'll take that all day long. Next up, we have this Pioneer tape player. I bought an entire stack of these at a yard sale of various receivers and other items for $30 all in. And they were in this house that was very scary. It was actually collapsing upon itself. So it did take a risk of going into this house. The front of the house had actually caved in where their pool table was. And I think somebody's going to demolish the entire house. But this was in there. I was able to save quite a few of these and another receiver and another thing that I think we'll do pretty well with. I sold this. I'm selling almost all of these things for parts only because this house was not in good shape and a lot of this stuff was so dusty and I can tell there's some corrosion here and there. But the buyer just paid $65 for this. Anything you see in the tape family right now is really hot. Tape decks, like these older ones, especially if they have the dual cassettes, do pretty well. But even for parts only, the buyer paid $65 for this all in. Next up is this Panasonic, and I'll go back to this. I probably paid, if you want to put it per unit, probably paid like $3 or $4 for this. Next up is this Panasonic telephone set. If I had to guess, I would say we probably bought this at a bin store for $7.49. And these actually still do sell really, not really well, but they do sell these portable phone sets, especially the Panasonics, which seem to be the most popular ones out there. The buyer just paid $42 for this all in. Next two items that are going out this is a Jacuzzi bathroom fixture. This just sold for $35 all in. I believe we probably paid around $5 for this at a yard sale. Not going to be the biggest money maker here, but this was one that hadn't really moved, so I just marked the price down, and it sold pretty quickly after I marked the price down. So glad to see it go off the shelf into a new home. This next thing is a Sony multifunction DVD recorder. So it's a way that you can turn your items into DVDs without having to use a computer. These have pretty good demand on eBay. The comps are pretty good. Paid $10 for this at Goodwill maybe about a week and a half ago, and then this just sold for $70. So glad to see that move quickly. Next, going out, or going soon, I should say, is this Cpap machine. So you cannot sell these on eBay because these are prescription medical devices. It's probably not a good idea or safe for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing or don't have a doctor's prescription for something like this when it concerns something like this. But this is an Icon series from Fisher Paykel. I actually reached out to a website called Secondhand Cpaps, and they are a team that refurbishes these and then sells them appropriately with the proper licensures. So I paid $2.99 for this at a Goodwill, which, by the way, Goodwill, you should not be selling these, but they were $2.99, and they just offered me $115 for this. Most of the time what you'll do on these Cpaps is that you'll turn them on. They may have an SD card. You just have to see how many hours they have. You'll just email them the make, the model, how many hours it has left, and then they'll give you an offer. They'll probably sell this for like $500, $600 if I had to guess, once it's in their marketplace. But $2.99 into $115 will certainly take that. Some of these are oxygen machines, can be really, really good if you sell them to these secondhand places. So always be on the lookout for those. Just remember, do not list anything like this on eBay, or you will possibly get in trouble. The listing will be removed and you'll get dinged and maybe worse, or suspended. So definitely be careful there. But it does not mean that you shouldn't be on the lookout for these. Next, going out is this Dremel 2-speed scroll saw, 16-inch scroll saw. And so I bought this at a flea market for $30. The buyer just paid $116 for this, so we'll get this ready to roll. Should be fun to ship. It's pretty heavy and bulky, but I don't think it'll be too bad in the end. Next up is this Budweiser Clock that has a lighted display. And actually, this was in the same lot that I showed you with the two monster power bars, as well as the remote control. And so this actually sold after that, which is why I'm showing you now. And this looks a little raggedy, but when it's lit up, it looks pretty cool. I'll try to flash a picture of this thing lit up, because I actually put that in the listing. As well as it like this as well, and it still works, but I think that really helps sell it, because at night in the dark this thing looks pretty cool. But anyway, the buyer paid $42 for this, and I probably have almost nothing into this, maybe a couple bucks based off of the lot that I put together. Next up is this Oxo Coffee Maker. I think this is called a Barista Brain, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, the buyer just paid $107 for this. We probably paid about $10 for this at a thrift store. So if you ever see this brand Oxo, definitely look it up, because they can carry some pretty good value. So we'll get this carefully packaged up to send out. Last item going out this weekend is this Waterpik water flosser. Paid $7.49 for this at a bin store. This just sold for $36.